God bless you. So I'm just kind of waking up. I've had some interesting dreams, to say the least. Which one do I begin with? So it was a short one, this first one, because I woke up, went to sleep a few times. But this particular one was from the day before. But there was a row of white stars in the sky, fairly close together, but a long row. And in front of them was a bright red one. So they were all bright white ones in a row, all following a bright red one. And I remember looking at it, because you've got this row all here. So imagine my arm is actually dots and not my full arm. And then this here is just a big red dot there, not the rest of my arm. And they're just following across the sky. And something told me it was a pyramid. Or something, it's the shape of a pyramid when I was looking at it. And I remember thinking, I need to count the stars. And this is the second time I've needed to count something in a dream, and I haven't. I don't seem to have worked this one out yet with regards to the counting. But then after this, it changed in the sky. And all these white ones were following the red one, which was at a distance from them. So you sure saw how I did that. So this is them at the back, and this is him at the front, but they're being led and they're moving in uniform to him. And then I looked out again, and now it was a great plane, and I mean absolutely humongous. The wings were so long, so big, and I don't know if it was because it was low or what it was, but it looked ginormous. And I was looking out my old window in my old home I used to live in when I was young. Out of my old window, which was huge, and you could see the garden and everything. And I'd previously had another dream there before, when I was seeing building on the moon. But this one was different. This massive plane was wings, which was the white dots. But at the front of it, which had the red dot on it, the center point of a plane that wings are attached to is normally it's a long body and wing. This wasn't like that. Massive long wings carrying a small atomic bomb. If you've ever watched the Hiroshima videos of that bomb being dropped, that's what this looked like, attached to wings. That was the body. I don't know, I think the colour of the plane was green. And I remember looking at this and saying, something terrible. This is something terrible. But it wasn't loud, and I didn't hear any explosions as it flew over by. Now, my old home was back in London. I don't know if the room has any relevance to the dream. I cannot say. But I went to run down, and this is another thing I have to remember actually. It was, I don't know if it was night time or if it was dawn. Because it was that point when, when it's not dark, like pitch out, and you need your lamps on. There was that darkness where the sky's got that ever so little bit of dark blue upon it. When it's that sort of dark. I remember looking out. I went to run down the stairs, and I'm like, I've got to tell my mum. And I noticed my front door's open, or missing. And I'm like, why is my front door missing? Anyone could get in. I run down and I try and close the door. And is it the latch, the little bit? So when you pull a handle down, that little thing sticks in. And when you let the handle up, it goes back, and then you can't open the door. That thing was missing. So I keep pushing the door, and I can't close this door for some reason. And the door's bright white around the rim, and it's my old front door latch. Didn't know what that meant. Went to tell my mum, who didn't seem to care, who was laying asleep at the time. And then I woke up. Now, that was the atomic bomb. I recognised that immediately, and that was what was leading all these white stars. This one red star in the distance that they all followed, and it was all of these wings attached to an atomic bomb that led it. Atomic bomb's pure destruction. Being led by destruction. Destruction is coming. So, prepare for the future and pray and build your relationships with God and start building your faith. And those that are willy-nilly and believe in purposeful sin and carrying on sinning and expecting to be constantly forgiven, start repenting. Start talking to God to help change you. Don't just keep doing it. If you're struggling with change, remember, things are impossible for us, but nothing is impossible for God. So trust in Him to help you with your constant sins. I think they call it habitual, but I don't know what the word means. So I use the word constant sin. The things you keep doing, the ones you do in your privacy and things like that. So you need to get through those. God will refine you. Now the next dream was I wanted to go to church. And I was getting ready to go to church. I was like, right, I gotta get up, get dressed, get ready to go. But of course it's daytime and church is in the morning. But as soon as I walked out my door, the sky was dark. Really, really dark. And I was like, why is everything so dark? This is the time it should be light out. And then I remember hearing in my head, this is the time when a third of the day is brought to darkness. And I'm trying to walk to go to church and I don't even know where I'm going because it's so dark. I don't recognise the road I'm on. The next thing, my legs are heavy and I can barely walk. So, if you're just diddly walking, I'm kind of like really trying to move my legs. And there's this car and I can feel this presence coming up behind me. I can feel it readying to stop, and I got this bad foreboding feeling about this car, and I'm like, I need to move. Eventually, my legs start to walk again. And because my legs start to walk again, this car decides to drive off. I'm walking in the dark, and the next thing, I'm walking past pubs. Seems to be places where people are having fun and enjoying themselves. As I start coming to these areas, the strangest thing, I'm looking up in the sky and there's spaceships. Loads of them. But to me, they're holograms. I'm looking at them, I'm like, that's a hologram. I can see the flicker. That's a hologram. That's a hologram of a spaceship. Everyone else is completely amazed. They think this is amazing. They're like, wow, look at these spaceships. And I'm like, everything that's been done has been done before. They've been making these in films. These aren't space, these are holograms. These are the designs from Star Trek. These are designs from such and such. And I'm watching all these signs, these spaceships in the sky, and I'm like, how are people so wowed? And there's like clusters of them as I'm walking by these pubs. All these people seem to be amazed and wowed by what they see. All I see is holograms. To them, it's amazing. I can't understand it. Now, I get into a pub. Not that I walk through and it's really strange. It's like all of a sudden it's like a tunnel to walk through on the road. But it's a pub inside it, and I'm walking through it, And all the people are sitting down laughing, and I notice the pub servers, and obviously no one's at all. So I'm like, no one's wearing one. I walk in, everyone starts pointing and shunning me, saying you're not wearing. And I'm like, oh, I'm not staying here. I'm disabled. I'm coming through because of my heart condition. So, but I can't understand why everyone's so thing about me. But all of them are, as I come through to come out the other side, that's when I wake up. People given to strong delusion. People believe anything. When they haven't got God, He gives them up to the reprobate mind. Persecution's going to be coming, and they will protect their own and hate those that are different to them. It's time to put on your spiritual armor. It's time to build your relationships with God. It's time to prepare. Stock up on what you can. Be ready for the future. Expect persecution. Expect hardship. Expect bad things. For they killed Jesus. He was crucified. He was hated. He was spat on. He was struck. He was stripped. Remember that. Don't be focusing on all this. Wants the best for you, the riches for you, wealth for you. Whatever you want, you can achieve. Focus. Persevere and overcome. The Bible warns us there will be persecution. Every book I come across says there will be persecution. Yes, there will be deliverance. But had the times not been shortened, no one would have lived. Think on that. No one would have lived if the time weren't shortened. So if the time weren't shortened, no one would have lived. That means many will die. So think on that. Dwell on that. Focus on it. I want you to overcome if you are dismayed. If you're expecting on a certain thing to happen that doesn't happen when you expect it. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Now, when the rapture happens, and the word being when, that's when it happens. But don't put your eggs in the basket for it. It happens to all of God's chosen. There's no argument there. It's the when, remember, those in the ground sleeping as well as those alive. And there's a possibility will be the ones in the ground sleeping. Because remember, they will deliver you up. Some of us will be killed. And remember, it doesn't say hated by some nations or a fair amount of nations. It says all nations. So all nations are preparing to hate you. All nations are preparing to persecute you. All nations will be preparing to kill you. Now, as dire a warning as that sounds, you have God by your side. Do not fear them that can kill the body, but fear Him who can kill both body and soul. Remember, God will guide you every step of the way, and when you are at your most scared, your most worried, your most lowest, it is to God that you pray. It is to God that you ask for strength. It's to God you ask for your spiritual armor. It's to God you ask to have all wicked spirits removed from you that you may see clearly. It's to God you ask to protect you. It's God you ask to help hide you. All things are attainable through the Lord. Trust in Him. Start praying on the regs for your areas. Pray for your towns. If there be strongholds of the enemy, that they be teared down. That the works of the enemy come to nothing in the areas. Pray for the eyes of the people of the areas you live in to be opened. Pray for the Holy Spirit to be upon the areas you live in. Pray for the lost just as much as you pray for those you love and know personally, as in your loved ones. Pray for your fellow brothers and sisters across the globe, as well as those you know. Spend more and more time in prayer. Don't focus on how long you pray. Make sure you pray for everyone. For you need to learn just how powerful your prayers are. Remember what Jesus said, that the things He did, He said, you'll do things as He did and greater. And Jesus is no liar. So put your faith in Him and trust in the Holy Spirit. Now, God bless every one of you.